I refused to let my husband witness the birth of our child, after I unlocked his phone to find the messages to my best friend, and now I'm the one being accused of tearing our family apart. I, 28 feet, had been together with my husband, 27 meters, for nearly 10 years. We got married at 21, had our first son a year later, followed by our daughter 3 years after that. I built my whole life around my family. We had good jobs, he worked full-time, I worked from home, we lived in a good home in a great neighborhood, and we put our children in good schools. We also had a successful business on the side. I thought we did everything right. My best friend, who had been my closest friend since middle school, lived nearby. We had our daughters around the same time, and we would have playdates all the time. We leaned on each other a lot. I supported her when she was dealing with issues involving her daughter's deadbeat father and got her in contact with a good lawyer. She supported me when I was recovering from my traumatic second birth and the depression that followed. We leaned on each other for everything. 10 months ago, I found out I was pregnant for the third time. I was really uneasy about this because of my traumatic experience with my second pregnancy. My husband and I had both agreed we were done having kids after our 2 children. I considered ending the pregnancy, but my husband insisted we keep the baby. I was still uneasy about the pregnancy and borderline miserable for the next 6 months. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum and was throwing up 20 times a day for 6 months straight. I lost a ton of weight, had to stop working, and was frequently sent to the hospital due to severe dehydration. My husband stood by me and showered me with attention, for which I was so grateful. He cut down his hours at work to look after me, the house, and the kids. My best friend would also come to our home frequently to check on me and help with the house. When I hit 6 months, the hyperemesis decreased significantly, and I felt almost back to myself. One night, after having a movie night with my family, my husband and I were getting ready to sleep. He fell asleep right away while I quickly checked on the kids before getting into bed. His phone was vibrating like crazy, so out of genuine curiosity, I unlocked his phone. We used to do this a lot when we were younger, so I didn't think too much of it. I was already sitting in bed. I saw messages from my best friend. They were frantic spam messages. One of them said, "Please come over, I need you." Another said, "I know I shouldn't be messaging here, but I miss you." And another, "Come over when she's asleep." I think I sat there in a daze for nearly 5 minutes. I cried a lot, quietly, and the fatigue kind of left me. I scoured his phone looking for more. I saw emails and DMs between them, even using apps like Kik to message, and the pictures. But the worst part was finding out my husband had left me in the hospital one time, where my mother was keeping me company, and gone back home, where my kids were being babysat by my friend, and gotten intimate with her in our bedroom, with our kids in the house. The following morning, I confronted him and kicked him out. I filed for separation shortly after. For the next 2 months, he begged for forgiveness and then alternated between complaining and insulting me, saying that I wasn't letting him see his kids or that I was stopping him from going with me to doctor appointments, which I had been doing. We had planned months earlier who was going to be in the labor room. It was going to be my mother and husband. When he called me at 35 weeks to confirm the labor situation, by this time, he had moved in with my ex-friend. I told him no. He got very angry. Many of my in-laws and family members told me to put our differences aside for the sake of our baby. I still said no. I gave birth to my son with my mother and sister present, and didn't feel any regret about my choice. After my second traumatic birth, I just wanted to make sure this one was as stable as possible, and it was. We had planned to name our child after his father who passed away. I initially went along with it to make him happy but changed my mind and picked a name I had always loved since childhood. This aggravated him even more. Did I go too far? Because I'm being guilt-tripped by many people right now. All I want is for everyone to leave me alone and let me just be with my kids. What do you think? Edit. Just wanted to add that I do let him see the kids. That would be crazy if I didn't. My children love their dad. I just have certain boundaries now that we aren't together, and he doesn't respect them. He gets angry and says things that are categorically not true. He got to meet our newborn son hours after I gave birth. Relevant comments. Comment 1. This is a scenario where you should feel safe and comfortable. He was cheating and left you in the hospital, so you shouldn't listen to him. Comment 2. How could you have a stress-free birth with him in the room? Why did he even feel entitled to ask? Update. So, I'm back after nearly a whole year. I completely forgot about this post because I've been so wrapped up in other things. Like I said, it's basically been a whole year. My baby turned 1 today, and after celebrating his birthday and Christmas with my kids, it finally hit me this is my new reality. First of all, my ex-husband and I finally went through with the divorce proceedings. I had been holding it off during my pregnancy and early postpartum period to avoid added stress and to carefully plan for my children and myself. I was awarded primary physical custody of our children. Their dad visits once a week, and the two older kids, 7 and 4, spend every other weekend with him. My youngest will start doing the same in a couple of months, which makes me nervous. He's especially clingy with me, as all my kids are, but my youngest has really only known me as the most present parent. One of the main stipulations in our custody agreement is that my ex's affair partner is prohibited from seeing the kids. My poor kids have been confused enough by their parents' sudden split, and I didn't want them even more confused by seeing their aunt, who is supposed to be mommy's best friend, with their dad. It was deemed emotionally detrimental in court. As for the baby name, he's been so bitter about it, I think he's still annoyed about it. His side has been trying to convince me to change the name to something we'd both like, especially after the divorce was finalized. But it's been a year now, and the baby quite literally answers to the name I gave him, so I'm not going to be changing it. He was also unhappy with the child support payments, among other payments, and asked for some revisions. One main thing he asked to change was the cost of our kids' school tuition. He felt it was too much and too harsh, but the court stuck with the original payments. As for my ex-husband and ex-best friend, they continued dating. I found out that they had started seeing each other a month into my third pregnancy. They had actually slept together during my second pregnancy but didn't pursue a relationship at that time because, as they put it, they weren't ready to ruin things and didn't want to hurt anybody. My ex's side has been very supportive of their relationship, even inviting her to family events like Thanksgiving or holidays. Because of this, my kids don't go very often to these events. I've come to the realization that perhaps my ex's side never really liked me all that much. But that's okay. I eventually spoke with my ex-best friend to ask why they did it. She claimed they were just friends but grew close while she was dealing with issues involving her deadbeat ex-boyfriend. Both of them insisted that my ex-husband just wanted to protect her, which supposedly turned into love. Hearing this hurt me a lot, but at the same time, I felt relieved to know the truth. When I sat with this information for a while, it stopped hurting. It made me realize that I didn't still love my ex-husband and could finally let go of him and their betrayal. They broke up a week ago. Apparently, it's just a break, though who knows. Although my kids go to their dad's house every other weekend, it has helped a lot with making time for myself. Obviously, I'm figuring out who I am without being a wife or mom all the time. In many ways, I find what happened to be a true blessing, which is why I'm no longer angry. As for me, I've been seeing someone. It hasn't been very long, nor is it that serious yet, but we get along great. Initially, my ex-husband made the whole situation difficult. He didn't want me to have any man, specifically, around the kids. This is likely the last update, just wanted to check in to let everyone know I'm okay. Thanks for listening.